Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be going over a topic that most people need to prepare for these days when going for a new job, changing jobs. So that is the art of mastering a Teams or a Zoom interview. As you're probably aware, a lot of meetings these days, they do start over Teams or Zoom to begin with. Very rarely now do I arrange an interview that's in person right from the off. So from the get-go, the process is normally a Teams or a Zoom interview to start. This is what I'm finding in my industry anyway. And then if that goes well and you're successful, then it will be a second meeting in person, usually at the offices, sometimes a coffee shop. So what I wanted to go over today was just a few key pointers in terms of how you can master having an interview over Teams or Zoom and what you can do to best prepare. So to begin with, what you're going to want to do is make sure you're in a nice environment. So make sure the environment wherever you're having this interview is well lit. Make sure it's free from distractions. Make sure the camera on whatever you're using works well. So whether it's your phone or whether it's your laptop, whatever it might be, make sure all the equipment's working firstly. So do that before you jump on the interview. So make sure the mic's working, make sure the camera's working, make sure you know how to use the software, make sure, if you're being asked to and they want you to share some examples of work or something like that, make sure you know how to share your screen, because that will cut out time and it will look a bit silly if you're not prepared and not deemed perhaps understanding of the software that you're using. So make sure you get up to speed with whatever it is. So whether it's Teams, Zooms, Google Meet, make sure you're completely up to speed. What you need to do as well is make sure you dress smart. So I've seen this before where people rock up to a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, just in a jumper. They might be in a t-shirt or something like that. Unless the client has specifically said, don't worry about dressing smart, then, maybe then you might not dress smart. But aside from that, I would always dress to impress. That's what I advise all candidates going for interviews. First impressions mean a lot. So that moment the client potentially turns on that interview, turns on that meeting, and sees you in the camera, the other side of the computer, phone, whatever it might be. First impressions go a long way. So if you're suited and booted, or at least got a smart shirt on and a tie perhaps, then that's going to go a hell of a long way. And I can almost guarantee these days that the other competitors that you might be facing going for this job that you're going for, a lot of them probably won't even bother doing this. So if you do this, then straight away you're going to be getting brownie points from day one, and you're probably going to set yourself in front of most of the competition. What I would also do is log in early. So don't leave it until say 9 o'clock on the dot if your meeting's at 9 to join then. Make sure you join 5 minutes early and make sure that everything's working, and then you're making sure that you're there, sat there, ready, calm environment, ready to go, and you've made sure that you're best prepared for the meeting. Double check your settings again, make sure your mic's working, make sure the camera's working, and when you're actually in the interview, make eye contact. So some people, I've seen them come on meetings, even with myself as a recruiter, where they're perhaps looking the other way. Perhaps they've got their camera looking up from them here, but the screen is in front of them. That is a little bit weird. I would always recommend have the camera right in front of you where you are. Don't let someone look at the side of your face when they're interviewing you. You want to make sure you're pretty much head on with the camera. You want to make sure you're making eye contact effectively through the camera. So you haven't got to stare the person out. It's not a staring competition, but just make sure you lock horns every now and again. You make good eye contact, just as the same as you would in an interview. If you have got a slightly busier background, perhaps there's building work going on, perhaps you live right next to a train station and trains going by every so often, or perhaps it's the summer, so you've got the windows open and there's a lot of road noise, whatever it might be. When you're not speaking, put yourself on mute, and then that way the client interviewing you is not going to get a load of background noise. So when you're speaking, obviously take yourself off mute, but when you're not speaking, when the client's speaking, then put yourself on mute, and then that way if you have got a slightly busier background, a slightly noisy background, then that way it's not going to annoy the client too much. But be mindful of these things. Overall, they would be my top hints and tips in terms of a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, whatever you might be having. Once you've finished the meeting, a good idea is always to just drop the client a quick email just saying, I really appreciate your time, thanks for jumping on the call with me today. If I can answer any other questions or any other queries you might have, then please do let me know. Chances are, whether that client has set the meeting up with you directly or it's for a recruiter, chances are you would have been sent a meeting invite, and that meeting invite would have had your email on it, perhaps a recruiter's email, but also the client's email. So it's not a bad thing to say, after the meeting, leave it a couple of hours and then drop the client an email just to say, hi Joe Blogs, really appreciate your time for jumping on the Teams meeting with me earlier. Hope everything come across well, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Again, that's something that probably 90% of your competitors won't be doing. So that's just another little 1% that you can add to your game that will put you in front of the competition. So I hope these tips today have helped when it comes to Teams, Zooms, Google Meetings, virtual meetings in general. Do let me know your comments in the comments section if I've missed anything out. Drop us a like. If you like the content, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.